Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carter Walker. I love talking about movies, comics, and games, and music as well. Kind of forgot about that one. I just got out of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, so I just want to jump right into it. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. I'm going to be very vague throughout the video, but starting right out with the positives, I think the animation was one of the strongest suits of this movie. By far. There are a few like nitpicks that I definitely have I'll talk about in the mixed, but overall the animation was really beautiful. And just like Into the Spider-Verse, it does so many different and like wild things with animation, especially with making it look like a comic book. There's like little blurbs that pop up throughout the movie with extra information or quotes, and with different animation styles as you see different worlds. Trying to be vague, I thought it paid off really well. I loved how they would show like a different style for a different world, or if two characters were having a conversation in one world, it would start to like bleed. It did look a little goofy sometimes, but for the most part, I thought it looked really solid. And they animate different characters different ways, and so you'll see like Scarlet Spider from the poster animated in an entirely different way from Miguel O Hara. And I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really well done. It seemed like it was more focused on the multiverse rather than his own personal journey. And I can gladly say that that's not the case. I was totally wrong. I think I even said something about that, like in my anticipation video, that I was a little worried that they would be like all about cameo, like Spider-Person, here's Gwen Stacy and here's what she's up to, and then forget about Miles. But the film doesn't do that. It doesn't lose sight of the main character, which is Miles Morales. And I think that, again, Shameik Moore just gives an incredible performance as Miles Morales and knocks it out of the park. He's skyrocketing up my list of favorite superheroes right now, and he was probably my favorite part of the movie. My other favorite part of the movie was easily Miguel O Hara, or Spider-Man 2099. He's used sparingly throughout, which I'll talk about a little as well, but when he does show up, and he kind of gets a lot more screen time as the movie goes on, I really enjoyed him. I thought Oscar Isaac killed it with a voiceover performance. His first, if I'm not mistaken. I could be totally wrong, but he absolutely knocked it out of the park. He's very menacing, also very heroic and confident, has all like the capacity to be a leader, so you believe that he's leading this like society. You know, he has this Spider-Man secret society, and I thought that that was really fun. Some of my favorite moments in the movie focused around Miguel O Hara and Miles Morales and their relationship and their dichotomy together. I thought it was awesome. Another big positive is the action. I think that the action scenes were helmed wonderfully. All of them are very unique, very stylized, and kind of getting into like the later half of the movie, I really enjoyed what they started to do with the action scenes and all the different abilities that were portrayed and everything like that. I really enjoyed it. I'm really trying to avoid spoilers here. I thought that it did a great job of making every character feel unique and well used in the action scenes. I do wish they used Miles' Venom power a little bit more. They definitely used more of the invisibility. He doesn't really use his Venom punch or any of his Venom powers that much in the movie. There's like one or two sequences where he uses them, but for the most part, he doesn't use it as much as it's not focused on as much, which sucks because I think his Venom power is really what sets him apart from other Spider-Men, along with invisibility and like his overall character. But visually and like power wise, I think that is a big thing that sets him apart. And then kind of like rounding out my positives, I thought all the characters were great. I enjoyed seeing all the cameos. Some of them definitely worked better than others. I think there is a few that really surprised me, had me laughing. The humor also is great as well. There's a lot of really great lines or like visual gags in here that I enjoyed, and it's just very charming. You know, it is an animated movie that's rated PG, and although 90% of the people that will see it will be above the age of like 10 or 12, you can tell that this is majority aimed at children. There's not a lot of like over-the-top violence in this movie that you wouldn't expect. It's got some dark themes, some very mature themes, but nothing that like I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, my kid, I don't have a kid, my kid is not seeing this. It was fine. But I thought that they did a very good job of tying the Spider-Man lore and like how meta the movie gets into everything. And you know, there's certain things you'd expect from Spider-Man, from any Spider-Man character, especially Peter Parker. And they did a great job of like playing on that responsibility, certain events that always happen, certain tropes, and flipping it on its head and asking, like, does this need to happen? Like, why are we letting this happen? Like, and different perspectives from each side. I really enjoyed that, honestly. That might be my favorite part of the movie, and I know I've said that like 3 times. As far as like story and themes go, that was my favorite part, far and away. I thought the movie was really good. I wasn't like, I'm not seeing like all this high praise. Like, it's great, but and then those big themes kicked in and those questions started to be asked, and I really enjoyed that. I thought that was far and away very surprising. Did not expect that, but very, very enjoyable. I'm very impressed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller and the rest of the writing and directing and production team. They did a great job. Great job. And as far as like the mixed go, I really don't have anything massive. Just small nitpicks. I think this movie is a fantastic movie, both as a Spider-Man movie, an animated movie, and like as a blockbuster, a summer blockbuster. Going along with that like mixed thing that I just mentioned, sometimes Miles is sidelined for a very long time in this movie. I know it's been talked about quite a bit, but there is a big prologue here that does not focus on Miles, which is fine. It's awesome that it focuses on Gwen and her life and other things like that. But, as being marketed as like Miles Morales movie, and I'm not trying to complain here because I thought the prologue was great, sometimes Miles takes a backseat in the movie. And I'm not sure how to feel about that. On one hand, I enjoyed everything they did with Gwen, and I think that they did a great job for the most part handling her character and her treatment. On the other hand, it just was paced very strange, and it felt kind of odd when Miles isn't in it for large chunks of the movie. Or he takes a back seat and other characters jump in, which is great. Nothing that would really drag this movie's score down. Again, with the mixed, some of the animation, there was one character in particular that is taken from a well-known piece of media among Spider-Man fans. I'm really tiptoeing here. Obviously, there's cameos galore, and one of the cameos, they're trying to be faithful to the source material, and it looked terrible, if I'm being honest. It's a notable character that I definitely love, or an interpretation that I definitely love, and it just looked so weird. I was like almost pulled out of the movie because it looked unfinished, like unrendered. Part of that is supposed to be on purpose, I know, but I mean, it looked goofy. Just gotta be honest here. And sometimes the animation took me out of the movie. There's like character conversations, and all of a sudden there'll be like floating items in the background, like supposed to symbolize something, but I don't know what they're symbolizing, and it's not like explicitly stated, which that sounds really stupid of me, especially since I've taken like college filmmaking classes. I really enjoyed it. I would say my biggest issue that might drag the score down here, not a negative, but something that I keep thinking about, is the pacing is so weird in this movie. It is a part 1 of the story, 100%. Don't go in thinking this is a complete movie. It's a finished story, because it is not. It is 100% not a finished story, which is fine. But sometimes with movies like Infinity War, where they wrap up the story of that movie, which is the Infinity Stone like hunt and Thanos' quest, it gets wrapped up, and then there's another story in Endgame. This is not like that. It is 100% part 1. It used to be part 1, and then they changed the title for this one and the second one to be 2 separate stories. And that's fine. It definitely works as a story, but not a complete one. It definitely just cuts off right in the middle. You can almost feel them like kind of changing the writing a little bit and being like, okay, this is where we can cut off, and now we can send half the team to work on this, and then we can polish the rest of Beyond, and then we'll release it and work on that. You can feel them doing that in the movie, at least I could. And so there's a point where the movie has this long prologue, and then it has, it drops the main character in, and then it focuses on him and his journey, and then there's a big exposition dump, which is fine. I really enjoyed that exposition dump, if I'm being quite honest. A small climax, and then just a lot more movie after. And it made the movie feel extremely long. Again, not an issue, because I enjoyed every minute I was in the movie, but I was like, this is weird. Like, what is this? I feel like it's going to end any minute, but also I feel like there could be 30 more minutes of movie, and then it ended right in the middle of a sequence, and I was like, okay, we're going there, and then, come back in 10 months for the next one. Again, a small minor nitpick. It maybe drags the movie down like half a point, if that, because overall, guys, I really did enjoy this movie. I thought it was another excellent chapter in the Spider-Verse trilogy. I'm so excited to see what they'll do next. Miles Morales is becoming one of my favorite Spider-Man characters now at the moment. particularly just because of these two movies. I tried reading the current comic run, couldn't really get into it, but that's whatever. I'm really excited to see where they'll go next, and I think that Across the Spider-Verse, while maybe not as good as the first one, is a really excellent second chapter, and I'm excited to see where they'll go next. So overall, the score I'm going to give it is probably a 10 out of 10. Maybe I'm being generous, maybe I'm not being generous enough. One of those movies where I walked out knowing that I loved it, but also having a few issues, but I just love Spider-Man so much and everything that comes with him that I thought they just knocked it out of the park with this one as far as that character is concerned. So if you're a fan of Spider-Man, if you loved the first one, feel free to go check this one out. You most likely will not be disappointed. Have you seen Across the Spider-Verse, guys? Let me know down in the comments below what you thought about it. As always, I'm Carter. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.